Nearly 70% of lottery winners end up completely bankrupt within 5 years of hitting the jackpot. Millions of dollars completely evaporated. But you don't need a massive windfall to see this effect. Consider doctors, lawyers, and corporate executives pulling in high six-figure salaries, yet quietly living paycheck to paycheck, one missed bonus away from disaster. It raises a strange question. If wealth is purely a math equation, why does sudden access to massive amounts of capital so often destroy financial stability instead of building it? Traditional financial advice misses the mark here. It treats us like rational calculators, inputting data and executing logic. But humans do not work that way. We are intensely emotional creatures, making highly emotional decisions. Society teaches us a simple equation: maximize your income, minimize your expenses, and the spreadsheet balances. What that math ignores is your money mindset. Think of it as an invisible psychological operating system running silently in the background of your brain. If that operating system is buggy, it will constantly override mathematical logic. You can build the perfect budgeting spreadsheet, but if your psychological wiring tells you to panic, you will sabotage the math. Personal wealth is a behavioral output. If the math isn't adding up, the error might not be in the ledger, but in the internal script that decides how that money is deployed. So, where does this operating system come from? It starts downloading during our most formative years, early childhood. We absorb offhand comments like sponges. We hear parents repeat that money doesn't grow on trees, or we watch media that exclusively depicts wealthy people as greedy villains. We also watch how the adults around us react to stress. Passively witnessing a tense argument over a stack of bills quietly encodes financial anxiety deep into a developing brain. Long before you ever fill out a tax form or earn your first paycheck, you have already locked in a rigid psychological framework that dictates exactly how you will handle capital. This diagram illustrates the scarcity loop. It's a 4-step mechanical sequence where an abstract thought converts into physical financial reality. Step 1 is the belief itself, operating on the assumption that money is a scarce resource, incredibly easy to lose. That belief instantly triggers step 2, the emotion. You feel severe financial anxiety, creating an extreme aversion to risk. This drives step 3, the action. Instead of investing in growing assets, you aggressively hoard cash in a low-yield savings account. Finally, we reach step 4, the outcome. Because the hoarded cash earns practically zero interest, macroeconomic inflation silently eats away its value, resulting in a real, measurable loss of purchasing power. Your cash is worth less than it was a year ago. This negative outcome mathematically proves your original belief that money is hard to keep. The loop reinforces itself, cementing a cycle of poverty regardless of how much you actually earn. Now, let's look at the alternative, the wealth mindset loop. If your foundational belief is that capital is an abundant tool meant for growth, your emotional response to cash changes entirely. Fear is replaced by a focus on calculated opportunity. You confidently invest in appreciating assets, like index funds or real estate, allowing compound market growth to do the heavy lifting for you over time. Two people can experience the exact same external financial event, like a market dip or a sudden bonus, but they will produce drastically different wealth outcomes, depending entirely on which psychological loop is processing the data. In economics, a lagging indicator is a metric that only registers a change after a trend has already been established. Your bank account balance is exactly that. It does not measure your real-time financial health. Your current net worth is simply the accumulated physical echo of years of past cognitive loops and daily behavioral habits. To change the future output, you must conduct a rigorous internal psychological audit. You have to locate and isolate the hidden, destructive money scripts you learned decades ago. Short-circuiting a negative feedback loop takes work. You have to override your default emotional panic responses by implementing highly conscious, automated, logical investment systems. Building true generational wealth requires treating your own personal psychology as the single most critical asset in your entire financial portfolio. Society places a heavy moral weight on wealth, but the reality is much simpler. Capital itself is completely neutral. Physical currency is just cotton, linen, and ink. It holds no intrinsic capacity to cause human anxiety, to generate greed, or to create freedom. It is exclusively our individual money mindset that projects these intense emotional attributes onto an otherwise inert object. Money responds to the direction we give it. By identifying these cognitive biases, we stop treating capital as a source of stress and begin to use it as a tool for our own objectives.